Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. I had a busy day yesterday. Totally exhausted. Basically, on Saturday morning, before I went to the Orchid Society meeting, I watered the things like Masdevallias, Paphiopedilums and the Restrepias because they were a day late. And we've been having a mini heat wave for the UK. We've had, I think it must be 5 or 6 days of continuous blue sky and sunshine, which has done the world of good out here. Absolutely the world of good. I can see things bursting just because they've had warmer temperatures, brighter light and good humidity. And yeah, that weather is breaking now. The difference is not the fact that the sun's going to disappear. There will still be some of that, although not continuous sunshine all day. But the difference is the outside temperature. For the past 5 or 6 days, it's been sort of up in the low 20s, which in April in the UK is pretty damn good and unusual. But the weather pattern's changing now, and we've got cooler air coming in, which means the daytime temperatures are probably going to be 6, 7, maybe even 8 degrees lower, which means when my inlet fan kicks in, I've got much cooler air coming in, and that will drop the temperature down in here much faster. And as a consequence, this time of year, I think I might have to move a few plants around because that's going to be quite a cool blast. The sun will heat the grow room through the glass. That happens irrespective of the outside temperature. That's just how it works. But it's the temperature of the air coming in, and I've got plants right in the line of fire. Now there's a couple of Miltoniopsis down there. There's a big Masdevallia. They'll be fine. But I'm not sure about the Zygo getting an icy blast on it, so I might have to move that. Trouble is, it's so big, it's tall. Tall plants in here are a mini problem because I've only got so many shelves where they can live without bending all their leaves. I've got plenty of low shelves, you know, small squat plants, I could have another couple of dozen and find somewhere for them, but tall plants I'm limited. But today somebody asked to see the stands that I was gifted. These are the 2 stands that my friend gave me. They're good, strong, sturdy stands. Great big bases. Too big really, but other people can still put pots on a display table in amongst the base of that while the plant lives up here on the hook. So they're good, you know, ready-made, ready-to-go things. They need a bit of a clean. They were buried in the back of his shed. But I'm very grateful for those 2 nice stands. And I've got a set of 5 of my own which I need to make. They were basically plant stands to go in the garden, so they're just a piece of metal with a loop on the top, and the idea is that I'm going to paint them so that they, you know, because they're just bare metal at the moment, give them a coat of paint, a rust proof sort of satin finish paint, so shiny is not so good, it distracts from the plant that's on the stand. Like with the bonsai, if you look at the pot, not the tree, the pot's wrong. And it's the same with the plant stand. If you've got a really elaborate, beautiful plant stand, everybody's going to look at the stand instead of your plant. So a very basic sort of thing, but I've got work to do on those. I've got to paint them. And then what I'm going to do is get some black pots, because in shows you need black pots, so that's sort of just conforming to the rules basically. And what I'm going to do is fill the base of the pots with concrete and stand the metal post in that concrete and let it set. And then I've got a really heavy firm base, and the top of the concrete can be coated either with some grit or even some live sphagnum moss to make it look okay. I don't want it to look really pretty because once again everybody will be looking at the pot and not the plant. But today, looking round here, this is a day of, come on! It's just one of those days where I look round and go, come on! I've got all those Hercoglossum buds up there. Not one's open yet. Come on! And I've got this Nesta hovering, just waiting to open. Come on! That huge spike up the back there is Catatanti. Now that's not nowhere near opening yet, but it's branching like hell. So it's going to be one hell of a spike when it does open, but I reckon that's probably a month away. And then I've got this. This is one of my wildcats coming on nicely. Nice, good spike. There's going to be plenty of blooms on that. Come on. And the one that I really want to come on is this little Latoria dendrobium down here. It has actually got a spike. And that'll be my first ever Latoria bloom. So come on. Several things have gone now. That nice bright yellow, well, Cambria, but odontoglossum looking spike, that had to come off. I needed to repot that, and it was on its last bloom that was starting to fade, so that came off. I've got a Vanda spike just showing, none showing on the others, so come on. That's still hanging in there. There's blooms starting to fade on the main spike up here, but I know I've got backup. These are just starting to show colour, so this little branch here will open soon, hopefully. And then my Psychopsis, that's Mendenhall, that's got 2 spikes, both of which are pushing buds now, so they'll be open not too distant future. I forget how long they take from that point, but yeah, coming soon. Perpetual bloomer. What else is in there? Come on, state. Most of the other things, it's just a matter of growing on new growths and just getting things going. This was the Cambria that I repotted yesterday. Lovely new growth on there that was virtually hidden by a sheath. So the sheath's off. And as soon as that pushes out its new roots now, they'll get straight downwards into the media. You often find with Oncidium types, if you leave the sheath, the roots push up through the sheath. And then they end up so far away from the media, growing upwards, they never get in it. That's why I like to take the sheaths off. And my Laelia anceps was showing signs of going down. And it was another one of those with badly breaking down media. So I took it off its mount and it fell off because most of its roots were either gone or very poor. And I put it in one of the holy pots. I did that yesterday afternoon. And yesterday I spent from about 10 in the morning until nearly 2:30 because I had to water everything apart from that Masdevallia and Paphiopedilum set. They were done Saturday. So yesterday I watered every single mount and every single pot in here. That took quite a while. And that's unusual. I don't normally do everything in one go. But I thought I'll get it out the way. Now today, because the temperatures are lower, I've got some mounts that I'll have to water. They are daily no matter what, and the Vandas are daily. But some of the mounts will still be damp from yesterday, so they can go until tomorrow. But I've still got a bit of watering to do today. Not a huge amount, but some. And I'm going to use the rest of the day. I'm going to go back to my notes and I'm going to look at everything that's on the list to be repotted or mounted and see how much of that I can knock out. So I'll have a sort of afternoon pottering around in the kitchen, some of which I may film. I'm not going to film all of it because some of it I just want to crack on, get it done as they say. But that dendrobium up there has got to come out of that pot. New growths are pushing on nicely now. That I want mounted. It's a pendulous type dendrobium. It's got a thingy growing on that cane. Now I say thingy because it doesn't look like a spike, it looks more like a kiki. But we'll wait and see. No flipping blooms. My Anosmum semi-albo in the pot behind it has no sign of life. I think I may have lost it. That's what comes of resting and keeping bone dry, a plant that was weak when it went in there. Its only saving grace is it does have a bud on one of the canes. So there is life in it, and I daren't move it until I see new growths, and there's not a light at the moment. This one's coming out of its pot. I'll probably mount it. I just get so many more choices with a mount than I do with a pot. You can see those pots there hanging from that wire. They take up far more space than they would on a mount. You know, and like this thing, you know, it's from there right down to here. It's in the way. Plus it's flipping great long canes as well. Whereas mounts, I get so many choices of where I can put them. So although they add a workload in, I do like the mounts. I can accommodate them in many places and I have choices. Pots are only so many places they can go. And I'm not too keen on hanging pots. I just think they look untidy and clumsy rather than a mount. So some work to do today, and I suppose I better get on with it. If I knock this watering out now, get this little short video done, and then have a lazy day but a productive day. You know, no panic, no rushing around. There was a bit of that yesterday. Just pottering around, catching up on things, you know, checking things over, checking my records, looking at dates when things were last potted, what they were potted in. I've still got a few lurking around in the old bark that I used to use. They haven't been repotted into Orchiata bark, which I want to get everything done into that bark as soon as possible. Then I can relax because they can stay in there a long time. That's the theory. A little bit of sad news, I'll dig it out. I do believe I've lost this. I still water it, but Dendrobium senile, I think, has gone. That was such a good plant last year. Pushed up new growths, new roots, and then it just suddenly keeled over. And like an idiot, I tried to rest it. So that's probably what finished it off. But I see no signs of life on that, so I think that may be lost. That will get replaced. I like Dendrobium senile. Lovely blooms, and I just like the way it grows and the way it looks. So I'll have to replace that one. It's a shame that went. That was coming on nicely, but I'm pretty certain I've lost it. Ugh, shame really, but win some, lose some, and we don't win them all. It's difficult to ever win them all. There's another one here. I believe that's lost. That's a strange one. It's a Prosthetia green hornet crossed with an Epicattleya, and it's never been a strong plant. I put it in one of the clay pots to get air around the roots and everything. You can see all the older bulbs are just going. There's, you know, the leaves are dropping. I don't see any new root growth. There's 2 leaves left on that one, and there's another bulb over the other side that's relatively new, but that may be lost too. As I say, we win some, we lose some. But most of the stuff around here is doing well. Oh, that wasn't quite open when I filled it last time. Now it is. Yeah, that's come on brain. Phalaenopsis green apples. I don't know whether it's green apples or green apple, but it doesn't really make a lot of difference. But it is green. Actually, it's bordering on pale yellow, but it's a limey sort of green colour, and it's very attractive. They're not huge blooms, you know, but you know, it's a mounted orchid. It's sprouting roots all over the place at the moment, which is good, and it's got plenty more buds to come. Now, for me, with my Phalaenopsis, that's a good spike. You know, you've heard me complaining about some of the spikes on my Phalaenopsis. You know, useless object, 2 blooms, what's that all about? Well, that one's quite a good one. I think that'll be a nice show as they progressively open. So there's more buds lurking around and spikes coming on and stuff like that. I'll get to them as and when. But yeah, I'm quite pleased that Psychopsis is actually pushing the buds out, because I was bordering on thinking I'd lost that. But there's a good bit of green on there. That's going to open. This one with its back to us is the greens lower in an earlier stage of development, so they won't come out together. And the little one tucked in there, that's the alba form of Psychopsis papilio, the species. So that's the one that has the yellow and cream flowers. Well, that dropped off a while ago, but the next bud's coming on. That's what they do. They're a perpetual bloomer. I mean, I've had this plant probably 4 years now. It's only got 2 spikes. There's no sign of any more spikes coming on it yet, but they just keep blooming. You know, I've literally, you get about a 3 or 4 week break, and then the next one opens, and that lasts about 3 weeks, I think. You know, and then it drops off, and then the next bud pushes on. They just keep going. So relatively good value for money. Mine don't bloom in the winter much. They have a much longer break between actual blooms, and that's just the low temperatures. Quite honestly, these are warm growers. They shouldn't drop down below 17, 18 degrees C, and I'm down to 13, 14 sometimes in here, and it chills them and it stops them dead. They just slow right down to a standstill, and then come the warmer temperatures at night mainly, they push on again. So that's what it's doing at the moment. Okay, and anything that I do for the rest of the day, some things will get filmed and some things won't. Put those two together. You think the colours go together? You got some Stardust Firebird and the little Howiara. The end of that spike blasted. Naughty. But the end of this one hasn't. So I've still got buds to open on this little beauty. And next to the orange, I think that looks pretty good. I don't think orange and pink go very well together. Orange and red, orange and yellow, yellow and red. But you mix pink in with any of those, it's not quite so good. And then you get Miltonia Sunset that breaks all the flipping rules. Bright yellow bloom with a lovely loud pink centre that shouldn't work, and yet it does. So nature seems to be able to combine colours that we wouldn't normally do. Okay, I'll leave that one for there, and hopefully I'll pick up on a few things as I catch up on repotting and mounting. Okay, so I'll probably see you again later today. God, the light level's awful in here. It's really early in the morning at the moment, but I thought I'd make an early start. And that way, this afternoon, I might get a sit down. You know, I might be able to use that chair instead of either the cat or other things. Okay, see you later then. Thanks for dropping by. Oh, I forgot to mention, just before I go, that's my Harveyanum. That spike's gonna... Oh no, it's still hanging in there, but it's got more to come. And there's a nice one on the channel Mary G Orchids. Recent video, I think either yesterday or maybe the day before, but a recent video on that channel showing a lovely version of Harveyanum with several spikes open together. This is such a worthwhile dendrobium. You know, it just keeps on going. I've counted 6 spikes on a single cane, and they didn't all come out in the same year. So if you see what I mean, you get some spikes. They normally start near the top of the cane and gradually work back down the nodes as time goes on, which is why it can be almost permanently in bloom, because it just keeps spiking on the larger canes. And as I say, I've counted 6 on a single cane. Some of those were towards the end of like a previous year, and then more came out the following year. It just keeps going. It's a really worthwhile dendrobium if you like nice bright yellow frilly flowers, which I do. Mary G says hers is scented and it's fragrant of a honey related sort of scent. I don't detect any fragrance on mine unless I get my nose practically in there and get the pollen stuck on the end of me hooter. But you know, that happens. There are different production methods can often produce fragrant orchids that are not normally, and just every now and again one just isn't fragrant. And why mine isn't, I don't know, but I don't miss the fragrance on the grounds that I just love the blooms. But anyway, there's another nice plant of this Dendrobium Harveyanum on another channel, and that's nice. I always think I'm the only one. But it is a good plant, you know, if you can get hold of one and you've got a suitable environment. It's very tolerant dendrobium, this one. It doesn't have to be absolutely spot on, despite being a species. It's one of the less fussy ones, so it's not difficult to look after. The only thing where it might not do well is serious high temperatures. It might not do too well in those unless you really can keep the humidity up. But apart from that, it's a very easygoing orchid to have. So, you know, I would say if you haven't got any species dendrobiums of this type, I don't mean the, you know, the nobly hybrids and things, this would be a good one to start with because it is tolerant of many different environments and can still do well. So anyway, just an afterthought. It was nice to see somebody else's video of the same plant. You know, that was a nice little thing first thing this morning with my first coffee, because that's when I normally look at other people's videos and is have a look round while I'm waking up in the mornings. It's a nice little start to the day. Bye for now.